Catch up. What's going on, everybody? It's 5 o'clock on a Thursday. Must be time for some Slay Security Plus. Coming in hot off of not being here for what feels like a couple months. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Don't know how many viewers we're going to get tonight because this is a low-key back in the saddle again edition. I got a stream deck here, but you can't hear it. DJBsec has got some sound effects dialed up for us, though.
I got some music for us.
Nice. Get some music going. If you're brand new to the stream, welcome to Slay Security Plus. We are the community-driven initiative that's sole focus is helping you pass your Security Plus exam, basically so you can get a conversation with HR at the very least. And we do it in an interactive way with some live special guests, live interaction, and then we use really good professionally drawn up practice questions. Tonight we'll be using Professor Messer. We're not sponsored by Professor Messer, but his practice questions really are the best in the business. And so we're going to draw from those tonight and help you pass your Security Plus so you can get it, get on with your cybersecurity life, and hopefully just equip you to get into the system a little bit quicker. What's up, Space Tacos? Good to see you. Very, very good to see you. I'm waiting for a gift to send you. I'm excited to send that to you. The minute I heard about its creation, I thought of you, so I'm excited to send that out.
Are we live on YouTube? Did that change?
We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. I see Casually Joseph saying, is that the legendary DJ Butt?
So I've got, if you actually go to YouTube, it shows that there's
two feeds.
Another one that's waiting. There are 7 people in that chat.
Oh, is that the imposter one? Is it really?
It says waiting for Slay Security.
Can you play the Carl sound for me, please? Oh, there's 2. Oh, wait. No, that's Synthwave Radio. 6 watching.
I got 7 watching. It's what YouTube put live.
Well, I scheduled one through OBS that I have on a...
Let me put this in...
Hold on. Let me turn off the one on... I have one that's on Streamlabs that I had to auto. It's on auto stream.
I'm putting the link.
Look at this, guys. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, sticking through some of the technical difficulties. Woo! Let's go. Turn this off. Let's kill this. Let's go here. Oh, wow. Yep, there's 2 going right now.
Yeah,
Delete.
Say Chris Whitlock, Space Tacos, Haircut Fish. Looks like everybody's moved over.
They did. There it is.
I put the link in the other one. All right,
okay.
Anyway.
Let everybody know. Sorry about that, team. When you're out of the saddle for a minute, sometimes you come flying in hot. All right, let's go. Anyways, we're the community-based initiative focused on getting your Security Plus. And I'm like many of you along my journey into cybersecurity. I've had a little bit of IT experience coming in, but not really a huge background. And I found that the community was really giving with resources. I found an accelerated path that worked for me to get my Security Plus, and I've had a little bit of success along the way building a professional network and applying for and at least getting some job interviews and then some contract work in the industry. And so we're here tonight to answer some Security Plus questions. I've got some Domain 3 questions dialed up, some brand new ones, and then some ones that are reviewed from about a couple weeks ago. If you're going, where has this been? I got a LinkedIn friend of mine that said, hey, Jesse, are you still doing Slay Security Plus? Is everything okay? You said you're going to be on and it never happened. And then we went back in the last couple of weeks. And so thank you for checking on me. Life got to life in. First, it was the PNPT. And then after that, it was I went out to Virginia Beach for a burial. And then after that, I had a job interview that I didn't think went so well. And it, sometimes that knocks you off your feet. Which brings me to a perfect segue because I thought I had a bad job interview, right? I took the PNPT certification and I know I can hack. I know what I'm doing, but I failed that certification and it sucked. I really put a lot of pressure on myself to excel in this stuff and to prove to myself that, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. And I failed. And both times I reached out to BSec and both times he had some tough love and was basically like, Bummer, but get it together and focus and pass and don't suck and let's go. And it wasn't, that's like paraphrasing. And I said, hey, BSec, you want to come on for a Keep It Real session with Slay Security Plus? So DJBsec, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, my pleasure. That's what it's all about.
How's your week?
We have those down days.
Yeah, dude, you have those down days. And like, I don't know, we were talking about, which is one of the things I said, hey, let's talk about this tonight, is cybersecurity can chew you up and spit you out if you're not careful.
And like you said, cybersecurity, everybody can be in cybersecurity, but cybersecurity isn't for everybody.
Right. Well, I mean, it can test you, it can grind you if you don't want to learn all the time. Sometimes you get tired of the constant change because it is a constant influx of information. I don't know, some of the things at the same time, it's kind of like music though. I feel like I see a lot of cyclical things. So the same attacks, but now in the cloud, so masked a little bit differently, right? Like the attacks I feel like are the same. It's just a few things here and there haven't changed, or a few things here and there have changed.
It's the same. It's the grind, right? It's the grind. Every day it's the same thing, but every day is different. That's the best way to put it.
Can you talk about a little bit, like, are you guys in where you're at? How do you have people? Do you have any like employee issues? Burnout? Do you have people that you're dealing with burnout or anything like that?
I mean, we have employee issues all over the place. I myself am burnt out. Like before we got on here, I was telling you, I've got projects that I'm working on nonstop daily. I'm 7 a.m., 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single night right now.
Are you working outside? Because you look like you've either been golfing or working outside.
No, I was at the lake last weekend, so got some sun. It's been sunny here, so yeah.
See a little bit of play.
We'll start getting the darkness in. I turn real dark. I'm one of those that gets dark. I don't get sunburned. I'll get my believe it or not, I actually have a lot of Indian blood in me.
I believe it.
I get real red to start off with, and then I get real dark.
Right, you're gonna look like I got on my shirt, which is funny you bring that
exactly.
up.
It's crazy. Like we have a picture of myself and one of my younger brothers when we were like 6 or 7, and we were so dark.
That's funny.
Because all we do is stay outside. So
right, BSec. Somebody in chat, Casually Joseph said, "I would bump you up." I think he means volume. I hope he means volume. I would bump you up 5%. He says.
There, now I'm bumped up.
There we go. You did bump up.
I always have it turned down because it's so loud in my ear. Let me turn my ears down. All right, there we go. Whew.
There we go. Right on. I see Haircut Fish, Space Tacos in chat, Tony Paris, Exam Slayer. I see Casually Joseph in chat. I wonder if Justin Gold's going to show up. I know there's many of you that are going to watch this later on AKA Team Replay. Let me slide over here. And so welcome to Slay Security Plus. I want to get started, jump right into some questions. Make a long story short. Yeah, man, it was a rough week, and DJBsec came alongside me and said, dude, you got to just focus up. Like, focus on what's important. Learn what you missed. Like, seriously, that's all you can do, right? So part of cybersecurity is very technical, and I was applying for both technical roles. The certification was technical, and then the role I'm applying for is technical. And so it's kind of like math. It's like art. It's like writing a song. You learn pieces that fit, and sometimes pieces don't fit of the puzzle, and you go back to the drawing board and you figure out what works, and you keep moving forward. If failure is something you have a really, really hard time with, things not working out the first time or things not working the way you think you are, cybersecurity may not be for you.
IT is not for you.
IT may not be for you, okay? If you're a person that gets really frustrated and down on yourself, if you swear you've done everything right and it still doesn't work, IT might not be for you. Cybersecurity might not be for you. That doesn't mean you don't have a role here, but I mean like someone on the technical jobs, on the technical fronts. I would even say in GRC, just in our industry with how fast it changes, all the different players, things sometimes just don't work the way we think they're going to work. I mean, it's not, it's just not like a hard and fast science, I don't think.
Not at all. I think a lot of people have the mindset that they're going to get in this and it's going to be fun and it's going to be a breeze, and they don't realize just how hard of a job it is.
Like, it's a wicked hard job. And just from my limited experience, but mainly from interviewing people like you and watching Jerry and just other people, like even in the penetration testing field, as I was and am ramping up some of my red team skills, like just the vast amount of knowledge and hacks and operating system, just the configurations, the different versions of software, the different CVEs and within each version. I mean, it's just, it can feel like there's an overwhelming amount of information regarding our industry.
And we're only talking about one part, right? We're talking about one part within one part. So
right.
Like, you're talking about red teaming within cybersecurity. We're not even talking about GRC and blue teaming and being a system admin and patching stuff. And we're talking specifically about just one section of this stuff. That's what everybody needs to realize. Everybody, when it comes to IT, when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to security in general, like, you have to walk in and you open the door and you see, like, the best way that I can describe it is you walk into the hotel and there are a ton of rooms, and you get to go into each single room and decide which room you like. Do you like the room that is a king size bed? Do you like the room that is the queen with a rollout, or the double queen? Like, you've got to go through that and then decide where you want to be. You're in the hotel. You got the job, so you're in the hotel. Now you need to go figure out which room you want to be in and use that to become a specialist in that area. And you know what? You'll become a specialist in that area, and it may get boring, and you turn around and go to another one.
Yep.
That's what it is.
I think people forget that, yeah, you need to be a specialist in some of these areas, but doesn't mean that you can only study or be specialist in those areas. Let's go to chat. Justin Gold says, being a one-trick pony you can't survive very well being a one-trick pony in IT. That's true. I know people that have some really cool skill sets coming from law enforcement, but they tried to make their transition into IT/cybersecurity, and it was really hard. Some of those skill sets don't necessarily always transfer over. And so people that are in this industry, hats off to you, hats off to us. Like, pat yourself on the back if you've been in cybersecurity, if you've been applying for jobs, if you're studying every day, learning the new techniques, whatever that is, whether that's red, blue, or purple, and kudos to you, kudos to us, because this industry, it can wear on you. So let's go. I wish I had my sound effects here. Let's go. You have a let's go? Dial it up.
Let's go. I don't know if I have a let's go, but I have a clapping.
I want that audio footage of Taylor Swift when she's like at the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into what you came for with some Security Plus live Q&A. We're on the old restream so we can have some special guests tonight. So before we get started, I want to make sure we're giving kudos to our session sponsors, simplycyber.io. Whether you're trying to level up your career, trying to get into the industry, or just find out more, be part of the inclusive community at simplycyber.io. Let's pay some bills, and then let's answer some questions.
Are you feeling lost in the vast world of cybersecurity, overwhelmed by technical jargon and confusing career paths? You're not alone. That's why I built Simply Cyber. Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Ozier. Come join Simply Cyber, your supportive and inclusive community for navigating the exciting world of cyber. There's so much to take advantage of. Master the skills you need with Simply Cyber Academy, offering in-depth courses aligned with the GRC analyst role. Never feel isolated. Connect with fellow cyber enthusiasts and professionals in our thriving Discord server. Ask questions, get feedback, share your journey. Check out the Simply Cyber YouTube channel, delivering insightful interviews. What are your thoughts around, web app pen testing?
Hey, it looks like we're in the windows.
I included Bug Bounty here because that's very accessible to everybody. Practical skill demos and daily cyber threat briefs, all hosted by industry experts. There's so much more to discover. Are you ready to join the community and empower your future? Visit simplycyber.io/socials for all the links and start your cyber adventure today.
Yeah, let's go. Simplycyber.io, be part of that inclusive community. We also like to thank our some of our testing and information sponsors, Josh Mason at Mason SC. Whether you're looking for some IT help, CISSP course instruction, or just some IT management, reach out to Josh Mason. He's a wealth of knowledge, really cool guy to talk to, good community member in the cybersecurity space, and really does a lot to help others. All right, let's rock with some questions. If this is your first time, or it's been a long timer, or you've been a long time since you've been on the stream, my brain has been processing right now. We answer all of our live questions using the Vvox app. You go to vvox.app, and our ID is 147.645/433, or you can scan the QR code and it'll put this live question right here on your device. It's completely anonymous, but it is completely live. So as you answer these in real time, we just have fun and go through the answers. And then, like I said, nobody knows who it is. It kind of helps avoid imposter syndrome. So you can check this out and see how you're doing as you're studying. We are in domain 3, Professor Messer questions. Let's go. I hear those dogs going crazy.
All right, now I'm all logged in and ready for this.
Are you?
Let's go.
All right. I gotta kill Discord. Sometimes the old Discord throws off my everything else. All right, let's go. Come on, questions. Where you at? All right, these are some brand new ones. We got some review questions. A security administrator has been asked to build a network link to secure all communication between 2 remote locations. Which of the following would be the best choice for this task? A, SCAP or Security Content Automation Protocol. B, a screened subnet. C, IPsec. Or D, Network Access Control.
Oh man, looking at this right now, knowing what I'm doing.
Casually Joseph, it will wear on you, not can. You can love it more than life. You will get tired. You'll get angry. You'll get upset. To be successful, you'll need to be able to bounce back. You can't give up. That is 100% the truth. 100% the truth. Haircut Fish, are you going to any conferences? I'm heading to B-Sides Charm tomorrow. Is that to BSec or is that to me? I'm going to Wild West Hacking Fest.
And I'll see you there.
Yeah, let's go.
Where's B-Sides Charm?
Where's B?
Or is that supposed to be like Charleston? Where's Charm? Tell us, Haircut Fish. Where's that at?
Tony Paris says the daily grind can be rewarding if your day job is variety. This week I am surplusing old computer PCs and laptops. Next week I set up Nest desktop PCs for new employees. Let's go. It's awesome. Maryland, he believes.
Yeah, why do they call it Charm?
I don't know. Let's see if he says anything. That is interesting. All right, what do you think on this question?
You want my answer? We're going to go through?
Well, security content automation protocol doesn't seem to be what we're looking for to satisfy this. No. A screen subnet. I'm thinking screen subnet. I'm thinking a part of a network where you can have publicly accessible data, but you're also keeping the internal network safe, basically.
Remember, we're connecting two locals. We're connecting 2 sites together.
2 sites together remotely, and a network's access control is basically a framework. It's it's not the same thing. IPsec, that is VPN security, and when I think remote locations, I think IPsec.
There you go.
I think so. That's what I would go with. Let's see. Come on. Internet's being interesting today. Oh, I know why. Okay, let's do that too. Had to close down some things.
It's probably got a screened subnet on it.
Huh. I think maybe it was the screw behind the mouse. 83% of you coming in hot with IPsec, Network Access Control, or NAC. Got a little bit of love. Correct answer is IPsec is commonly used to create VPN, or virtual private network protected tunnel between devices or locations.
And usually you'll run an IPsec with a GRE tunnel on it. Yeah, that double.
Split tunnel or full tunnel? Well, I remember when COVID hit, everybody went full tunnel everything. Everything was full tunneled.
No, that's different. So you have IPsec connecting them, and then you have a GRE tunnel in it. So you've got 2 layers of I was about to say 2 layers of synchronization. You have 2 separate layers within it that are I am so wiped right now. I can't even think of the word.
Encryption,
They're
protection.
encrypted. There you go. They're encrypted. And then, yeah, so you've got IPsec that's connecting, and then you got a GRE tunnel that keeps it basically by itself and encrypted.
Gotcha. Like a dream within a dream.
Yep. Now, the network access control that we had on there, that's actually something you use on, usually you use that on a LAN within there, and you're setting up the access control for the network itself, only allowing specific devices on.
Right. A transport company, yeah. I've noticed in this Security Plus, they're making it much more what seems to be what I would think of like your everyday IT security person, and not necessarily. There is a lot of blue team questions, but this really is everyday IT security stuff.
More like maybe managerial questions,
or at least in this
10,000 foot level, maybe.
At least in domain 3 is very 10,000 foot level.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's roll. A transportation company headquarters is located in an area with frequent power surges and outages. The security administrator is concerned about the potential for downtime and hardware failures. Which of the following would provide the most protection against these issues? Select 2. UPS or uninterruptible power supply, parallel processing, C, snapshots, D, multi-cloud system, E, load balancing, or F, generator.
There are only 2 on here that make any sense at all.
Let's go through.
That's my my take on this one.
So if I'm sitting down and take, hey, Andy McPherson, I'm late again. That's okay. We were late. I'm 2 weeks late. So you're right on time as far as I'm concerned. Let's go through some of these. And let's say you're taking the test. This is something you want to do and get in the habit of, is quickly, and you don't want to rush yourself, but you want to quickly go through the answers and figure out the ones that are not correct and kind of talk about real quickly why they're not. All right, so we're talking power surges and outages, right? So that kind of lays the land of what we're working with and what we're concerned with, right? We see downtime and hardware failures. We don't want any power surges and outages to lead to those 2 things, right? So how can we protect, or what are some things here on this list? Are there other options in all of IT security / computer world that may be better? Possibly, but you always have to remember that CompTIA does not care about cybersecurity. They care about you learning cybersecurity the CompTIA way so that you can repeat it on their exam. Now, they are vendor neutral, and a lot of their stuff is just general, but they have a set, right? A rule, a book of answers, because there's a book of questions. And so with that table of answers means that you need to answer things just a certain way. That's what CompTIA wants. So let's go through these. UPS is uninterruptible power supply. That sounds pretty juicy, so I'm going to mark that one. Parallel processing. I don't know exactly what that is off the top of my head without doing some Google, but I'm thinking that it's probably along the lines of, instead of like processors using, so when in the audio world, when you have parallel signals, they're like, so like if I have guitar pedals and I have my distortion and my delay, I can have my distortion run into my delay, which would be serial, right? One into the other after the other, serial connections. Or you can have things run parallel. I could have the sound go through the distortion, and then I have another one with the sound coming through parallel, 2 different things on the same track of audio. So I would think that was just with processing. BSec, do you know what parallel processing is?
So that is kind of the way you explained it, but it's having 2 processors and running them simultaneously is all it is.
That's what that's my, okay.
You have one task that has 2 processors, so if one processor blew up, guess what? The other one's there to run as well.
Cool. That's kind of where my brain went with it, but that's the nice technical rundown for us. Snapshots, where, I mean, if we had power outages and if we had surges, we'd want to have snapshots if you're running in a virtualized environment, which I think that's what they're alluding to with snapshots.
But it's not going to do anything for you if you can't turn your computer on.
But if you can't turn any of your systems on because you have no power, then having snapshots is not going to do you any good. Again, with the multi-cloud system, which is an interesting answer, it's not correct because
not at all.
It's not. It's just, again, it's very similar to the snapshots. You can have a multi-cloud system, but
I mean, we could go deep into this, but
you could go deep.
Multi-cloud could be an answer on this. It is not for this test. Would it be this answer? But it would keep you from, if you had frequent power outages, you could move all your stuff to the cloud, and guess what? don't have to worry about anymore. That
Right.
has nothing to do with this question, though.
That's fair. And then generator, which I don't know. What do you think? Oh, load balancing. Let's talk about load balancing. When I think of load balancing, I think more of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a minute, but I think of load balancing as like a data access between servers. So you don't want to overwhelm. So you have them basically, they can be bouncing off each other or they can work simultaneously. One can be up and running and one is down until it's needed type of concepts. Is that right?
You got it. If we're both going to a website, and that website's behind a load balancer, guess what? I get to go to this side that's running that same website, and you're going to that one.
And then
we both get to go full speed.
Yep. And then you had the different like trickle down method. Yep. That's right. Okay. Ding. I wish I had my sound effects. All right. That's all right.
Oh, you go.
Haircut fish. Named it Jesse. Let's go. That. Yeah. Yes. And then load balancing and generator. So power outages and surges, I'm thinking uninterruptible power supply and generator.
And those work in tandem, right? Because if you have a surge, that UPS, that uninterruptible power supply, aka battery, is sitting there, and the machine, the server, is not going to go off. You usually find out how much time that you can use before that battery runs out. So if you need 15, you have 15 minutes, you have all your servers in your rack, you set up enough UPSs with battery power that can hold that whole rack on for, say, 15 minutes. Then you have a generator with a automatic switch that will flip over as soon as it goes out. Those usually take 30 seconds. But guess what? During that 30 seconds, if you don't have a UPS in place, what's going to happen?
Downtime.
Everything's going to go down. So now that you have the batteries in place, now you've got that 15 minutes of time in between that you can flip everything over, and now you're golden. So there we go. UPS and generator.
I mean, here's the other part of this is I think, again, going back to that getting holed up in like red team, blue team, remember CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if you're doing hardware, you're on a team that's maybe you're down on yourself because you're doing networking. You're like, I'm just working with computers and UPSs and I'm not really doing any cybersecurity. Remember, the availability part is also part of that security triad. There's just different ways to your perspectives on what you're doing in the industry and also utilize that as you're filling out your resumes.
Wait a second. At least Justin Gold is saying a UPS is just a battery in between if power stops going in. It still comes, I guess he says, out for a minute. The power itself to the building will go out. The power to the rack will not, as long as that battery is charged and ready to go. And on a UPS, they will usually have an audible if they have an issue with a battery.
Yeah. My spouse has a whole getup over here that's to my right for her work, and they make her have we have a whole UPS system over here that only certain devices can be plugged in on it. It's got a sticker property of, and so we've had a couple outages and her system stays alive when that happens, which is nice. You botched that, Reed. I'm glad that.
I think you botched that typing.
I know.
That's some JMod typing. That's what that is.
We need to get Justin on this stream. Jiggle, do you want to jump on with us? Which of the following can be used for credit card transactions from a mobile device without sending the actual credit card number across the network? Tokenization, hashing, steganography, or masking? Again, security plus layers. As we're going through these questions, let's talk about what they're not. When they're not hashing, because remember what hashing is. It's a one-way trip where you take a amount of data, whatever it is, a file, a text thread, whatever it is, and you combine that with an algorithm. So a bunch of a math problem, basically, a bunch of numbers, and it spits out a set length of digits, right? So SHA-1, MD5, and those are just representations of what that data was, right? You can't go back. You can't unencrypt a hash. It's a one-way trip. So that is not necessarily what we're talking about, but it's along the same lines. I have steganography, which when I think of steganography, I think of hiding text within pictures or images within images or images within pictures, hiding data within data, basically, when I think steganography. One of the most fun parts that I had when I was studying for Blue Team Level 1 was the steganography, just going through different files. And I don't know, it's one of the oldest ways too of like encrypting and sending like signals across.
It's fun to use that in training to show people.
Oh, I bet.
The faces you get like, wait, what?
I bet.
You put a text file in that picture? Yeah, I put a text file in that picture. It opens that, something like that gets people's mind to open up of what could actually happen.
Yeah, that's funny you bring that up. I don't remember who I might have been either Tyler Ramsby or John. It was one of the big dogs. They were talking about how CEOs, you could be explaining the nitty gritty of a hack to them, and they're not going to care. But if they see that you can demonstrate that you can jump on their computer and hide a picture within one of their text documents, like they go, wait a minute, you could do that on my computer remotely with just a default password? That's what I'm trying to tell you, sir, is like, if I can do this, imagine what else. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Guess what? If I can get you to download that picture that has my executable file in it, and then I push out a PowerShell script to you that is going to extract it and then run it, guess what just happened?
We need to have a pwn sound. Jesse, I'm sure we had that convo at one point. I'm sure we did. Casually Joseph jumping in chat. We were talking about investor buy-in. Casually Joseph is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to just talking cybersecurity. And also, Casually Joseph, you're going to get so mad at me, but I'm going to say this online in front of the thousands of people that are watching right now, is you've got a good voice, dude. You can sing really well. You should do it more often.
Oh, no.
We were at Wild West Hacking Fest. We had the guitar, because I brought a guitar up for us crooners to just kind of, in the backyard after the conference. And Joseph picked it up and started busting out some lines, and hopefully not lines of drugs, lines of music. And we're gonna see if Joe Hudson wants to join us for some rapping. All right, and then tokenization. That's probably what we're looking for. Tokenization is this process where you take numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you assign them a token, so something that represents those numbers. So when you do a boop, when you boop your card on a transaction, it's not actually your numbers that are going across the wire. It's a tokenization of your numbers. Your credit card numbers are actually safe and secure. So doing the tap to pay these days is actually a pretty safe way to pay, from what I understand and the experience that I've had. Survey says tokenization, get masking. Christopher Whitlock in chat. What's going on, broski? We need to have a chat tonight on the phone. Casually Joseph, beer makes everything sound better. That's fair. Tokenization is correct. We can go back to that one, but essentially that is what is doing is what we said it does. Which of the following would be the best option? Here's a good example of something we'll talk about these questions. Which of the following would be the best option for application testing in an environment completely separated from the production network? A, virtualization, B, VLANs, or virtualized local area networks, C, cloud computing, or D, air gap. Quick reminder, if this is your first time joining Slay Security Plus, feel free to jump in and join the live Q&A. These are Professor Messer questions that we dialed up here on Vivox, and you can do this interactively with us. Scan the QR code or go to Vivox app and then use the ID, which is 147-645-433. Completely anonymous, avoids imposter syndrome, and you can kind of test your skills, have some fun. And as BSec knows, because you worked in the industry now for a little bit, some of the Security Plus stuff that they want you to know is not always how it's done in the industry. Can I get an amen?
Probably 90% of the time. Reminder, it's a test. To pass the test. Get in the real world and it's completely different.
Yay! But that's love. I mean, I love it. I love it.
Always learning. Always learning.
Oh, and don't forget to like and sub. Amazing Discord too. Thank you for Christopher Whitlock. I'm not good at any of that stuff. I don't even say that on any streams. If you're getting value, what we do here every Thursday at 7 p.m., we do a few things here and there. When I'm not super busy, I try to go on live more. But really, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do live Security Plus Q&A, special guests, live home labs, some hacking, some blue team stuff. More than anything, it's about getting you to pass Security Plus quickly and efficiently and build community and have fun while you're at it. every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Time. And then like, subscribe. But that's I don't post a bunch of shorts. I don't do a bunch of content. You don't get a bunch of dings from me. I love like helping people study and do this kind of thing. I'm by no means an influencer.
I think this question's worded a little weird.
What do you think? To be honest, I think cloud computing would be the answer if you already have your own production on the cloud, but still separating with different instance. Which is the volume for application testing and environment?
So in here it says in an environment completely separated from production network.
Yeah.
Virtualization will not be completely separated. You can have a separate network. You can have a separate within the virtualization, but have both of them running on the same machine, using the same compute sources, using the same memory. So if that one machine blows up, you've lost everything. To me, it's air gap.
It has to be. I see how virtualization though I understand, and I understand why cloud. I understand why, and here brings me to the point real quick for all of you people that are going to take this test, slayers out there. CompTIA does this on their exams where they say which of the following blah 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 would be the best option. Okay, this means one of two things: one, that there's probably a better and a best. Okay, and that also that this question probably has partial credit. We do know from CompTIA they do give partial credit on questions. They don't say which questions or how much they give, but a little bit of deductive reasoning and too many years in college, you can tell when you read a question that this probably has partial credit. Seeing words like best, most, pick more than one, things like that. Those are partial credit questions. So maybe you get virtualization because we still have answers that could satisfy this question. CompTIA is saying, what is the best way, right? What is the best way to keep these completely separate? And the answer, I think, is also air gap on this one. Air gap. An air gap network removes all connectivity between components and ensures there would be no possible communication between the test network and the prod network.
So
completely separate.
I was going to say to everybody that said virtualization, you're not necessarily wrong, but just listen to what I said before. And when you have a virtual network and we have virtualization, they can all be on the same machine. That doesn't mean they're on the same network, but they're still on the same machine within the same entity. So therefore, if that one goes away, they all go away.
Right. And I'm sure there's fringe use cases, or there's going to be fringe cases where there's a complete isolation within a cloud network. But I mean, at the end of the day, air gap is what CompTIA is looking for.
Whenever you see, anytime when you see completely separated, always think air gap.
Yeah, and CompTIA only gives you roughly a minute per question, right? So it's not going to be super deep. CompTIA is not expecting you by any means to be an expert over this stuff. They want you to understand the answers and be able to put them back to them on the test. That's why studying, I feel like with the live study and the method of the retention where you figure out what you don't know, do targeted reading only on those areas, and then do self-quizzing over and over in a cycle, is a really efficient way to learn because you're studying something that's super condensed, right? One of the hardest things I've found is to study for the sake of learning, but also studying to pass a test at the exact same time. It taxes the brain in ways where you're not going to retain anything. And so let's go. Let's crush some Security Plus. What turns off when you pull the plug? Nothing sometimes.
Everything.
I learned this from you. I learned this on your channel as this question came up a few episodes ago. So thanks. Yes, that's what we like to see, is that curve of knowledge going up. A business manager is documenting a set of steps for processing orders if the primary internet connection fails. Which of these would best describe these steps? A platform diversity, a continuity of operations, cold site recovery, or a tabletop exercise? This is a review question. I can hear my family jamming Pink Floyd.
Oh,
in the other room. It's our first Thursday night since I think the last time we streamed with Mario and dinner, all that. For dinner, we're doing breakfast burritos. Dude, I found this bacon. Have you you've heard of boar's head meat, right?
Yeah, boar's head meat. Yeah,
dude. They have this boar's head uncured bacon, and it is like it's paper thin, but when it gets that low and slow, baby, on a cast iron, and that stuff literally melts in your mouth. Like, oh my god!
Now I'm gonna have to go find it.
I love bacon, boar's head.
Oh yeah, bacon. I could eat bacon all day long,
dude. Bacon wrapped bacon dipped in bacon with a side of bourbon flavored bacon.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Pink Floyd or breakfast dinner. Sometimes breakfast burritos, that got people talking. Yeah, absolutely delicious. We're doing, yeah, man, food. I love cybersecurity, music, playing outside, and food.
And bacon.
And bacon. Well, let's talk about this question, folks. We got platform diversity, continuity operations, cold site recovery, and tabletop exercise. We're talking about steps of processing orders in a business if the internet connection fails, right? So if the internet connection fails, you want to have something that's going to continue your operations, basically. I'm answering the question, but that's really what they're asking is, how can we continue operations if the internet fails? What would that be? Well, tabletop exercise typically has to do with red teaming and blue teaming. Actually, it's more purple teaming, and it's all theoretical, right? This is a tabletop exercise. We're looking at what would happen in a theoretical environment. This isn't even pen testing. It's a tabletop exercise.
You could be tabletopping this.
Right. Like, we could. Cold site recovery has more to do with, let's just say I'll use a web server, for example. If you've got a server that's up and running, that's going to be your site, right? Your primary site. Let's say that fails. You have a cold site, medium or warm site, and a hot site, right? So a cold site's basically going to be just that. Some people, folks in the industry, have heard it explained many different ways. Some people say it's literally just a switch and a room. Like it's a cold and a plug. Like, I don't know how true that. I mean, you get some basic infrastructure, but it's not ready to go. Servers aren't turned on. Nothing's fired up. You're not ready to go in business. Can you talk about these ones a little more, BSec?
So cold site, hot site, and warm site. Usually when you're talking about a hot site, more than likely you're running two separate data centers or two separate areas that one is making a 100% full replica. And if site one goes down, there's a switch and boom, it's already up and you're good to go. Warm site is usually you have your production and then you're going to have your warm site. Your warm site is there and ready to go, but you have to do a little bit of work to get it to turn on. Your cold site, usually everything is just shut down and it's sitting there. You've got all your hardware ready to go, but let's talk about it in times to come up. A warm site or a hot site is going to come up pretty quick. A warm site, you're probably going to get up within 30 minutes to an hour back online. That's part of your business continuity plan that you'll usually talk through with C-suite or upper management to find out what your timeframes are. And your cold site is going to be that one that's, hey, I got to drive over there. I got to do something. I got to go plug everything in. Couple of hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe a day to get everything back up and running. All of this has to do with business continuity is what it is.
And bottom line, cost. I would assume that having a hot site spun up ready to go is a little more expensive than a cold site.
Yeah, because depending on how much traffic you've got from one side to the other, you might have to have a 1 gig, a 5 gig, a 10 gig, a 40 gig backplane to make sure that everything's going back and forth. Yeah.
Let's go. You sound like you've done this you've been in a few rodeos.
A couple.
All right, so platform diversity is not what we're talking about. Cold site recovery is not what we're talking about. Tabletop exercise is not what we're talking about. The one that describes this best is going to be our continuity of operations. Sounds such a cliche and it sounds kind of overused, but the truth is a lot of times in these questions, CompTIA will answer it with the answer and the question will answer themselves. If you just kind of stop and think what it's asking and start using those keywords. Look for keywords that are going to pop out at you. We want to how to documenting a set of processing. See if things keep going, right? What's that set of steps? Boom. Now I'm listening to John Mayer, I think. Yep.
They're waiting
or
for
the
world
midnight.
to change.
I can't tell. Ha! My daughter likes some John Mayer. Let's do this. Looks like a fun one. This is a fun one. I used to love when my grandma would make pancakes for dinner. It was awesome. Oh, dude. My wife's grandpa makes these really thin. They're not crepes, they're pancakes, but they sit and they ferment for a few hours. And they're like, he throws them across the room like Frisbees. Because when you're grandpas, you can do that. You're like, here, another one of my special, I almost said Frisbees, one of my special pancakes. Like disc golf. An organization's content management system currently labels files and documents as public and restricted. On a recent update, a new classification type of private was added. Which of the following would be the most likely reason for this addition? A, minimize attack surface. B, simplified categorization. C, expanded privacy compliance. D, decreased time search.
Casually Joseph just nailed it with what he put in there about CISSP. That's 100% true. Everything becomes about business continuity.
A very big step from technical when you start. Oh, I can see that. I've been so knee deep in the ones and zeros lately that I bet like at that level, CISSP and CISOs and stuff, you're not even thinking the ones and zeros. You're just thinking, how can we keep things going? What is the next step?
CISSP is literally, and I know Jerry said it before, and there's others that have said it. It's literally an inch deep and a mile wide. It covers everything. We're talking like, hey, what would you do in a server room? What would you need to have if there was a fire?
Oh man.
Like those type of things.
Right.
Things that really have nothing to do with cybersecurity. They just have to do with security and business continuity and business security overall.
Huh. Wow. Okay. That makes sense why they want that 5 years of experience, because they do need you to not just study it and remember it, but if you're going to wear the CISSP badge, you need to at least be able to, you need to know what you're talking about.
You have to have lived it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be a vet.
Yep.
All right.
It's not a hard test, but it is a long, and there is a lot of stuff on it.
I bet. I could see myself. I like management, so I could see myself doing that later in life, but I'm still enjoying the clacking away at keyboards. Okay. Simplified categorization doesn't have anything to do with cybersecurity. So there's another little giveaway on one of these answers. And sometimes the answer, ask yourself the basic question. Does it have anything to do with the CIA triad? Does it have anything to do with any of the controls I've learned? Simplified categorization is nice for availability because it's a little bit more available if it's categorized properly, but it's not what we're talking about. I see private here in the question. The answer that jumps out to me is expanded privacy compliance. The reason I say that is because we see expanded, which means that at one time it wasn't there. This question says on a recent update, which also means that private wasn't there. And so expanded and update to me are two keywords that kind of go together. That's where my brain would. If I had no idea what was going on, I would just see that, and that alone would kind of help me answer this question. And I could be wrong. 100% of you agree. And the survey was correct. The labeling of data as private is often associated with compliance and confidentiality concerns. Tony Parrish, I'm studying the CSSP after passing Security Plus last year. Let's go.
It's a lot, Tony. It's a lot.
I remember when Tony was studying for Sec Plus. We got Misty Eyed in chat. Hey, Misty Eyed. I didn't get a chance to say hi when you jumped in. Good to see you. Welcome back. Making sure we haven't missed anybody behind. Not this week. I don't know what the schedule is because my life is crazy, but we're going back to Discord for a special stream with Zach Hill from Black Hills. Super fun. Him and I have been talking about doing it back and forth. We decided to do it on Discord, like old school Jesse style / more. And people can jump on stage and talk about their Security Plus fun, and we'll answer questions and everything, but it's going to be really fun little Discord session. I want to get on some Twitch and stream some Magic: The Gathering. Boom. Nope. Wait, hold on. Oh, we haven't done this one. A company is using older operating systems for their web servers and are concerned for the stability during periods of high use. I feel like we've had this conversation recently. Which of the following should the company use to maximize the uptime and availability of the service? A, cold site, B, UPS or uninterruptible power supply, C, redundant load, or D, load balancer? Is this a pick more than one? No. Nope.
Trying to decipher between two of them.
I bet you. I can tell you. I'm trying to decipher between load balancer and redundant load.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean by redundant load.
Because it's not cold site, right? We've addressed what a cold site, warm site, hot site is. It's not a UPS because we're talking about stability of the server during high periods of use, data in transit, information being the web server, doing what it's supposed to do. I'm talking about power. So I definitely think it's either redundant load or load balancer.
And I'm like a 70-30 on that.
Here's the thing that leads me, and I don't know this answer, but what leads me to load balancer is stability during periods of high use.
Yeah.
Because you and I were just having that chit chat about that, which was the exact example you used. Let's lock it in. Oh, now they're listening to
Taylor Swift.
No, I know. I can see that coming up next. Load balancer. Redundant load doesn't sound right to me since it sounds like it means copying the load. That's fair. Faux show. All this talk of the load is making us want to go to the next question. Load balancer maintains a pool of servers and can distribute the load across those devices. If a device fails, the other servers will continue to operate and provide the necessary services. A technician at an MSP has been asked to manage devices on third-party private network. The technician needs command line access to internal routers, switches, and firewalls. Which of the following would provide the necessary access? HSM or hardware security module, B, jump server, C, NAC or network access controls, or D, air gap, which is two completely separated systems. I think this one probably jumped at BSec pretty quick.
Yeah, this one's pretty. Yeah, it jumped at me.
You sipping on some water?
I love what Casually Joseph said. Open RDP to the internet. 3389 all the way, baby.
Oh, Joseph, that was funny. Yeah, you guys are making me laugh tonight. Okay, let's talk about this one. Devin Allen, thank you for putting your answer in chat. We answer all of our questions here on the VVox app, brother. So if you would do that, it helps from people jumping in, unless you're being silly, in which case that's also a completely acceptable reason to put the answers in chat. Network access control. Remember, this list is going to have more to do with talking about which devices can or cannot be on your network. At the end of the day, is what the end of the day, a 10,000 foot view, a network access control list says which devices can and cannot join your network. Okay, is that fair-ish?
That's fair.
Okay. Air gap. Remember, we're talking two completely separated systems, environments. They are not on the same network. They can't communicate with each other. That's not what we're talking about. The MSP has been asked to manage these devices, and he needs command line. This person needs command line access. Well, HSM is a hardware security module, so that's built into our computer that it's burned in on the physical computer. So that's not has anything to do with command line. That's not what we're talking. What does do that? A jump server, and that answer jumped out at me, and I hope it jumped out at you as well. And I am a dad, so I use dad jokes.
What is a jump server?
Is it a jump server, like a highly secured, basically? Let's get the answer. It's right here. A jump server is a highly secured device commonly used to access secure areas of another network. The technician would first connect to the jump server using SSH or a VPN tunnel, and then jump, quote unquote, from the jump server to other devices on the inside of the protected network. This would allow technicians at an MSP or managed service provider to securely access devices on their company's private networks. I don't have a ton of, I knew the answer from just knowing what it does, but I don't have a ton of experience working with anything like this.
So usually with this, you will have a server behind your firewall that's considered a jump server, and you will give access to the MSP and the MSP only. So you will allow them to have, like, hey, what's your IP range? And you'll set up their IP range to the only ones that have access to that.
Right.
Everything else is blocked. You can open up 38 or 3389, like Joseph said, directly to them. No, don't ever do that. Don't ever open that up.
Yeah, we're being facetious. Don't open that. We're being silly. That's not, you don't want 30, you don't know. If you are in IT security, you're just getting your Security Plus and you're kind of figuring it out for some reason, just know you don't want to have RDP open to the internet, port 3389.
You don't want to use RDP.
Just anywhere. Have it, right? Just
turn it off.
Just don't.
Just don't. Turn it off.
Yes, Casually Joseph, you're correct. I thought about that after I said it. HSM, not TPM. Hardware security module is more of a rack mount device. TPM is the trusted platform module that is burnt in on the motherboard. So thank you for that. I always like to keep our information accurate. Shodan, what's going on? 573918. Yo, sorry to the stream. Well, you're here now, so welcome to the party. Let's keep rolling. Did we do this one? A security administrator is creating a policy to prevent the disclosure of credit card numbers. Okay, let's pause really quick. And the reason I like to do this is when you're signing for Security Plus, and I say this ad nauseum, I like to think of the tree method or a building block method. You always want to be, whatever the question is asking, understand the concept that it's asking about. And then as just a quick side note, have your brain, especially when you're studying, have your brain think about the processes that led up to whatever it is you're studying, and then some of the processes that can happen after whatever it is that you're studying, right? And I'll use this as just an example. If you're talking about credit card number disclosures in policy, when maybe transfer that to GRC, what are some things in GRC, right? PCI compliance, right? I'm just saying it's good to branch out from one thing in our industry because everything is so connected and so interdependent on each other that you're not just focusing on these one isolated little building blocks of cybersecurity, but you're really starting to map them together. I cannot tell you how quickly, if you're brand new to the industry, how fast you'll just start to you'll mental map how this industry works, both at a technical level and then also kind of at that bird's eye perspective. So what they want to do, they want to use the application where you'd only be able to see the last 4 digits of the credit card number, right? Let's look at some of these questions, and there should be one that jumps out at you, okay? Which of the following would provide this functionality? Remember, hashing is the one-way trip where we take the data and we smash it with an algorithm of some kind, which gives us a set length or a set string of data, which is just a representation of what that was before. We have our tokenization where we take the data and we replace it with something that stands for or is a token of that data. We have salting, which is the process where you add data to whatever it is that you're going to hash to help keep that hash unique, right? And so we always want to salt our data before hashing it. And then we have masking, which is this process of only revealing so much information or obscuring part of it and only revealing so much. Well, if the question is asking us that only wants to see the 4 digits from our credit card number, then we know from these answers, hashing, tokenization, we see masking. Masking should jump right at you. Remember, in Security Plus, some of the questions are going to be really easy. You're going to look at them and say, is this really it? And some of them are going to be a little more tricky and you have to think about. This is one of those that should just pop out right at you. Here we go. You can map RAM to an SSD technically. You can't be DDoSed if you're the node. The rich. All right. I love seeing chat blow up. Christopher Whitlock, it's good to have you back. It's good to see you. A network administrator would like each user to authenticate with their corporate username and password when connecting to the company's wireless network. Which of the following should the network administrator configure on the wireless access points? So of these 4 options, which one should the administrator configure so that people can authenticate with their corporate username and password? WPA3A, option B, 802.1x, option D, PSK. What was that? Is that something shared key, right? Public shared key?
No, private shared key.
Is that what it is? Is that what PSK? I can't.
No. Pre-shared key.
Pre-shared key. Pre-shared key. That's what. That's when, like, for old people, right? Where all the back in the day when that's like the little.
That's what everybody uses now.
Yeah.
Most people are using WPA2, which is a pre-shared key. That's what you're
right.
got
Your
at your home
route
network
with your pre-built like stinky cotton 675 or whatever.
Yeah.
MFA
with your TP link. What was it? 80.
Yeah.
What 11? Which one was it this morning? That's on fire.
Right. I don't remember, but I know that's funny. Or MFA multi-factor authentication. BSec, what do you think?
Oh, I know it. I mean, I can tell you.
Well, as a person who works in where's their 2024? Oh, that's funny. There goes my PSK.
There goes my PSK.
From your IT security networking perspective, if you were sitting down for the Security Plus exam and didn't know, but you knew about some of these things, walk through some of the stuff.
So pre-shared key, the whole pre at the beginning of that has nothing to do with your username and password. MFA, that could be using a username and password, possibly. But in this sense, that's not what they're getting at. They're actually talking about a protocol that's being used. WPA3 is just another protocol that is for logging into wireless. What they're actually talking about here is using the username and password that's on the network. So WPA3 isn't getting a username and password from the network. Pre-shared key is not getting a username from the network, and MFA usually not getting a username from the network. That's usually another form of authentication, right? Username, password, and then another form. So here we're looking at 802.1x.
Yep. And then I think another keyword that stands out with me is they want to authenticate with their corporate username and password. Yeah. So not the WPA3 one or the pre-shared key one, or even MFA. You're using whatever your corporate username and password to authenticate onto, it looks like, the network.
Right. And 802.1x is usually pointing back to a radius server that is housing those username and passwords.
Okay, just like that. BSec, that was an excellent example. Thank you for that explanation, by the way, of like spider webbing or routing, mind mapping these concepts, right? Going from 802.1x, jumping to radius server, right? Just different concepts that you can kind of start to glue together. 802.1x uses a centralized authentication server, radius server. This allows all users to use their corporate credentials during the login process, whatever your corporate credentials are. Which of the following considerations are most commonly associated with a hybrid cloud model? A, microservices outages, B, IoT support, C, network protection mismatches, or D, containerization backups. And ladies and gentlemen, it is that sad, sad time of the night. It is 6:05 p.m. We'll hope to extend our Slay Security Plus session next week a little bit longer, and then after that, we'll keep extending them again. But we're getting back in the swing of things, and our family time is limited, so we're about to wrap up. This is the last question of the night. Make sure you join us next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for Slay Security Plus. We'll still be in Domain 3. We may have DJBsec back. Depends on how slammed with work and kids he is, or if he even wants to come on.
The key word in this one is hybrid.
Well, when I think microservices outages, I think of all the little microservices that are running on each little container or each little container. So that's not what I'm thinking. IoT support, Internet of Things support, and hybrid cloud models they don't satisfy each other at all. That's like it equals with an X through it. Those don't even, we're not in the same ballpark there. Hybrid cloud model, containerization backups, or network protection mismatches. I would think I'm going to go with C, network protection mismatches.
That's what I'm going with. The reason I'm going with is we're talking about hybrid cloud model, meaning on-prem and in the cloud. So we're talking about in between, we're talking about practice. We're talking about the actual connection between the two of them. That's where you're going to have those issues.
Yeah, and I think, yes, what he said. I'm not going to add to that and sound any more Western Colorado than I already do. Just kidding. And the Johnson family might have a move up our sleeve. We love the West. We've been here for a long time, but tell you what, there's some areas in the southern areas of our country that are calling my name. We'll see what happens. Let's see what the survey said. Oh, survey said kind of a split between the two, and I could see that. Network protection mismatches. A hybrid cloud includes more than one private or public cloud. This adds additional complexity to the overall structure and is common to inadvertently apply different authentication options and user permissions across multiple cloud providers. So not only within like on-prem and in the cloud, like where I used to work, I'll use that as an example. We had a hybrid cloud model. Not only do we have a hybrid cloud model, so we had on-prem, and then we also were using Google Workspace and Azure. So 2 different cloud service providers. And within all those 3, there were different authentication protocols. On some, multi-factor had not been set, and I was told not to set it. On some, you remember all the horror stories.
You'll break everything.
Yeah. Or, we had like a Windows 7 machine, and they didn't want, they had to keep it running because that's how they checked out the books to kids. And it's like, but it has it's not internet facing, but it's still connected to the same network that has data on it. Lots of data, account numbers, credit card numbers, social security numbers, my social security number.
Yeah. Same network that HR is connected to.
Forcefully helper. Are you spamming me? Hey,
no,
sorry
for that's got to be Twitch. That's a bot on Twitch.
Oh, okay. I'm not. I need to get back on. I need to get more into that Twitch world. Bsec, what are you doing tonight? What are you doing for dinner? How can we follow DJBsec? DJBsec, what do you got going on? I know you said you're busy. I know you did jaw jacking this morning. But what do you got going on in your cyber world? Tell anybody that's watching Slay Security Plus where we can find you.
Lots of projects going on work-wise. You can find me every morning on Jerry's lovely daily cyber brief. You can find me on Twitch sometimes, every now and again, doing some music. And then every now and again, you might find me right back here.
Slay Security Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We couldn't do without any of you. I love doing this every Thursday. Seriously, you guys are awesome. Part of my extended family. Jim Lund, what is an example of a diagram question for next week? What is an example of a diagram question? I don't know. DM me on LinkedIn what you mean by that, Jim Lund. I don't know what you mean by that. Anyways, I'm Jesse J. You guys are Slay Security Plus. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning, for Jerry's Daily Cyber Threat Brief. And you also catch us on next Thursday at 7 p.m. from DJBsec and I. Have a good night.
Peace.